Me and my wife have been discussing the differences between the way men think and women think, and the ability, like men tend to focus on one thing, and women focus on many things at once, seemingly. I was wondering if you could elaborate on that.
Why?
Because I'd like to be able to have the ability to focus on many things at once.
Then you have to stop saying that men focus on one thing. In other words, you can't get there from there. You can't keep beating that drum and change anything. So we are playfully saying to you, why do you want us to beat that drum with you?
Well, I was hoping you could talk about the whole process of focusing so I could understand it better.
Well, we are having a good time torturing you just a little bit here because we wanted to point out that you began, as so many do, by saying, Abraham, this is how it is, and I would like to change how it is. And that's pretty good, because what you're saying is, I have defined the parameters of my work. Here's where I am, and here's where I'd like to be. So we don't want to do anything that enhances where you are so much as we want to do things that move you up the vibrational scale. So you've done the most important thing in acknowledging the work environment. So now, as you begin to offer statements, we will listen in and we will demonstrate whether we think you are closing the gap between where you are and where you want to be, or whether you are widening it. In other words, so what is the emotion that you think you feel around this subject of focus as you bring it into the idea of men focus in a certain way and women focus in a certain way? What emotion do you think best describes how you feel about where you are? Does it feel like disempowerment? Does it feel like confusion?
It feels like disempowerment.
So it's stronger than confusion. This is a pretty big thing to you. Does it feel like disempowerment that is permanent, or does it feel like disempowerment that is temporary?
I feel temporary.
So that's better. So if it feels like temporary disempowerment, does it really feel like disempowerment, or does it feel like lack of understanding? Does it really feel as strong as the word disempowerment? It's all right if it does, and only you know. Now, we started to say something earlier, and we didn't follow through as fully as we want to. We're not guiding you toward the physical manifestation. We're guiding you to the feeling of relief. And if you will realize that if you will understand focus as focusing energy, and that the way you focus energy, or the way you are aware of the energy that is focused, is through your emotions, then you realize that this is not a thinking process, this is a feeling process. And of course, you don't feel if you're not thinking, but if you put the emphasis on how you feel, you'll be able to focus easily. And that's the answer to your question. That's why women are able to focus usually, not always, on more things. Women, not always, but they tend to be more emotional beings. They are more in touch with their emotions. Men have been trained not to pay too much attention to how they feel. They've been subjected in many cases to environments that were harsher than their sensitive being could experience with joy, war environments and even work environments. And so men, as a general rule, never fair to throw everyone in one basket, have deliberately desensitized themselves, and so they become more singular in their focus. That's what's at the heart of it. But everyone isn't that way. No one needs to be that way. You are all emotional beings. You all have the same connection to source energy. When we see you, we do not see you as male and female. We see you as energy, allowing or not allowing, and your gender has no relevancy to your ability to create whatsoever. While in your environment, it does seem to determine the kinds of things that you focus upon, but your ability to achieve all things is emotionally based every time, no exceptions. So the answers to the questions that we think you're reaching for is that the way you can feel about this focus is by understanding two things: the nature of your desire and what your desire really feels like and where you are relative to it. And so when you have a desire that you've spent time on, and often it's a desire that you have spent maybe even years looking toward, and you found yourself pondering it and flowing energy toward it often over a period of time, there's huge energy flowing relative to something like that. And then when you find a thought in your moment which is a vibrational equivalent to that fast-moving energy, you soar with the thought. It gives you a sensation of life. You find it pleasant to contemplate. It doesn't really matter to you how it is unfolding. You're in the flow of a fast-moving thought, and that is that free-flowing thought. That is ecstasy. That's that feeling of passion. In like manner, if you're focused upon this free-flowing thought and you are focused upon it from a vantage place of not believing that you can achieve it, now you are experiencing equal or equivalent angst. In other words, now the thought is discouraging to you. Now you don't even want somebody to bring it up, you see. And so what is the perfect state of creative being? To be interested in something and not have resistance. That's the perfect state. The perfect state is to want and not resist. That's the perfect state. And you get to decide how much you want relative to your resistance. If you're going 1,000 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's a problem. If you go 5 miles an hour and you hit a tree, it's not so much of a problem. And most people think that, well, I should focus upon the speed of my car. And we say, we would be focusing upon clearing the trees. We'd be focusing on eliminating resistance, and then we'd go as fast as we could go. We'd always go as fast as we could go no matter what. We'd go as fast as we could go, because that's who you are, as fast as you can go, as fast as you can go, as fast as you can go. But when you go fast with no resistance, ecstasy. When you go slow, resistance or not, boring.
And you eliminate resistance by focusing on that which makes you feel good.
You eliminate resistance by reaching for relief, because relief is indication that resistance is subsiding. Yes.
Great. I feel great now.
It was a hard grind for everyone, but worth it. Worth it.
Thank you so much.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.